Hello, welcome back to my channel. We're here today with something different. Something quite different in fact, but it's something I have wanted to do for years, probably ever since I started the channel in fact, which is diversifying. I love music. Music is my passion, but I am also passionate about other stuffs. I love games, I love literature, I love studying, I love history, I love geography, I love politics, and I love cinema. Of course, going into all these different things is hard to do in a channel that's mostly about music, and I don't really have an audience to, create a second channel. So since awards prediction is something quite common, since music and cinema are very much connected in more ways than you expect. I mean, there's even a song category here which we can talk about because we heard that here in the channel, and since it's the Oscars, it's the biggest party of the year as far as I'm aware for cinema, then why not? Right? If that's something you enjoy, if you'd like me to do other stuff, I can do Emmys, I can do other award shows, Golden Globes, whatever. I've done the Grammys, I've done the VMAs, I've done the Billboard Music Awards, I've done the AMAs. I am not sure if I have done the EMAs, but anyway, I could do that. I've done the Brits. Why not do the Oscars? Sure, the main focus of it is in music, and I don't know. Well, to be fair, when I do the Grammys, I skip several categories. I skip rock, I skip country, I skip gospel, Christian, classical, because these are not my areas. I'm not gonna provide commentary on every category in the Oscars. I don't feel qualified to say, oh, this is the best cinematography of the year, or to say, oh, the production design in it is outstanding. Well, I can't actually say that because I have a critical sense for this kind of things, but I don't want to judge. I may not have watched every film that's in a category, so I would rather skip it. There are categories in which I'm pretty sure I did not watch any of the films, so I'm not going to comment on those. What I am going to comment is the categories in which I've watched most, if not all, of the nominated films in it, and the categories that I know I can give a more respectful, so to say, opinion. Oh, whoa. My chair. Wait. Alright, I'm tall again. Sometimes it does that, and it had never happened in camera actually, but it's been happening recently. But anyway, it's going to be very informal. I don't even have my student tie on, but since it's an award show, since I love speaking about these kind of things, and I have thoughts, and I have people who may or not want to hear my thoughts, but I have thoughts and I'd like to elaborate on them. So here we go. All right, we're here. I usually start from the bottom and work from the bottom up, but I see I'm at the website of the academies, right? And they organized it alphabetically, which is quite a bummer. It really kills the suspense, but alright, they have their own order for these kind of things. They announce it in an order, and then they give the awards at the ceremony in a different order, and they just change it, and here they decided to do alphabetically, so who am I to disagree, right? Anyway, first category, actor in a leading role. The nominees are Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Colman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. I actually watched American Fiction last night, so it's the one I have the freshest memories of. But I mean, what I'm doing here, right? I'm doing here what I do at the Grammys. Who I think is going to win, who I want to win. Honestly, it's a fine category. I like these nominees. let's discuss snubs as well, shall we? Because that's a fun part. Would I have changed anything? I'd love to see Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers. Don't know who I would have placed instead. Lots been said about Bradley Cooper's performance, and I'm okay with it. Sure, it's over the top. You can really tell he was trying to get that Oscar. He's getting the nomination, alright? That's all you're getting, Bradley. I'm sorry. I love you, but maybe something more subtle can get you there. Commander Mingo was good, you know. Personally, this is not the acting nomination I think Commander Mingo deserved this year. He should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor for his role in The Color Purple. More on that further down the line, alright? But, okay, alright? I can see him being nominated here, not for his performance in Rustin, but for the fact he did 2 great performances this year, and both couldn't be nominated, so they chose one of them. Kinda like Sandra Hiller, who I think should have been nominated for actress in a supporting role for her role in Zone of Interest, but again, more on that further down the line. Paul Giamatti, I think he is great. I love The Holdovers, but this is clearly going to Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. If Cillian had won SAG, then maybe this could have been up for debate. But he didn't. He won SAG, he won BAFTA, he won Golden Globes. Giamatti did too. The critics went to Giamatti, but critics don't vote for the Oscars. Journalists don't vote for the Oscars. So, who I think is going to win? I do think it's going to Cillian Murphy. Who I want to win? Honestly, I'm okay with Cillian winning. I like his performance in Oppenheimer. I did like The Holdovers more as a film. I do think it's a better film than Oppenheimer, subjectively. Objectively, Oppenheimer is a masterpiece, but we'll get there in a moment. Because subjectively, I did like The Holdovers best. So, actor in a supporting role, this is also Oppenheimer. This is going to Robert Downey Jr. I mean, the nominees are Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction, outstanding performance. Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon, also outstanding performance. Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling, Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things. If you ask my mom, she would have given this to Mark Ruffalo, right? I watched Poor Things last month in the cinema, but I watched it with my parents on Saturday, I think, or was it Sunday? I think it was Sunday actually. But anyway, I watched it with my parents, and my mom fell in love with Mark Ruffalo's performance. She fell in love with the film as a whole, which is surprising. I didn't think it was her kind of film, and it's not really. You know, I told her she should watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, and she thought it was too crazy, so she watched halfway through the film and then gave up. And I think it's interesting that she fell in love with Poor Things, because it's a much crazier film than Everything Everywhere All at Once. But you know, different people, different tastes. I personally, I would give this to Sterling K. Brown. His performance was short, sure, but it's supporting, and we have given actor and actress in supporting role awards to performances that were as short as 2 minutes, and I think Sterling K. Brown might be in maybe 20 minutes of the film, but it's the performance I remember the most, to be fair. It wasn't that huge, but it was memorable. It was my favorite my favorite performance of the film. And we are talking about a film that has Issa Rae, Jeffrey Wright, Sterling K. Brown, so many other outstanding actors, and still the one that managed to stick out for me the most was Sterling K. Brown's. So he's who I want to win, alright? I love Ryan Gosling, I loved his performance in Barbie, but after seeing Sterling K. Brown, there's just no competition for me. Who is going to win? Robert Downey Jr. He was won everything. He's just going to keep on winning. With that said, I see a lot of people being upset that other actors. I know I saw some comments about Dominic Sessa for the Holdovers, who honestly I think is a lead performance. This would kind of have been category fraud, but they don't really do that anymore. You know, getting two lead performances in the same category, it's not something you see lately. Supporting, sure, they have several, but The Irishman, for instance, did that, right, with Pesci and Pacino in the same category. But I see some comments about Dominic Sessa, and even, and this one I actually kind of agree, Milo, I don't remember his last name, from An Army of a Fall. Yes, I would have loved to see him nominated here, but I don't know who I would have taken out to make way for him. I see a lot of people saying Robert De Niro should be out and give place to one of these, or Paul Mescal as well for All of Us Strangers. Great performance, by the way. But I mean, I wouldn't hate this category if De Niro wasn't here and you had, for instance, Milo in his place. But I think De Niro's performance in Killers of the Flower Moon is the best performance of the film. Better than DiCaprio by a mile, and even better than Gladstone's. So I don't know. I don't think there's been any snubs here. I mean, there have, but there haven't, because I wouldn't have taken any of these names out to put another one instead. So if I was reading this list and I saw Milo's name here, I may have said Robert De Niro was snubbed if he was out of here. If Sterling K. Brown was out, he was definitely a snub. If Downey Jr., if Ruffalo, or if Gosling, they were out, these would all have been snubs. So this year was just too packed, and I don't think there should have been any replacements for this one, honestly. Actress in a leading role: Annette Bening for Naya, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hiller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone, Poor Things. Probably the trickiest one of the night. I don't know who this is going to, alright? I have no clue right now. My money's in Emma Stone, for the simple fact that her film has more nominations than Gladstone's. The Precursor Awards, they are exactly the same as last year. What I think determined Michelle Yeoh to win the Oscar was that Everything Everywhere All at Once had more nominations overall than Tar. Poor Things has more nominations overall than Killers of the Flower Moon. That's the only reason why I predict Emma Stone. I do think Emma's performance is better than Lily's. I do. And I think Sandra Hiller's performance is also better than Lily's. Sandra Hiller is second place for me. Bening and Mulligan, you did your things, but I would have had you two out of here, to be quite frank, and I would have added Margot Robbie. Yes, Margot Robbie, I'm gonna say it. And also Greta Lee. With that being said, Sandra Hiller is not taking this. There is a world in which she does, because she was not nominated for supporting actress, and she was nominated for supporting at BAFTA, and there has been some speculation whether she would win this at BAFTA. If she did, then we would have a full-on 2020 run, 2021 run for Best Actress again, which was the craziest one I have ever seen, and it was so good. This year, it's kind of a reprise of last year. and I think history is gonna make itself again. And if that's the case, then it's probably going to Emma Stone. Can it go to Lily? Yes, she won SAG. But, mind you, in 2022, Michelle Yeoh also won the SAG. But in 2021, Viola Davis won SAG, and she did not win the Oscar. The Oscar went to Frances McDormand, whose only award was BAFTA, which is the same award Emma Stone has right now. Oh, but Cate Blanchett won BAFTA and she did not win the Oscar. Yes, and then we return to the main point, the point I said earlier. The reason why I'm predicting Emma Stone is because her film has more nominations than Killers of the Flower Killers. I'm having a hard time with the name of the film today, alright? Than Killers of the Flower Moon. Not because of anything else, because of this. Gladstone has a narrative. Yes, she does. So did Michelle Yeoh. But I think last year their performances, and now we're moving from objectivity, we leave objectivity for my comment earlier on, and moving to subjectivity in here. Subjectively, Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh's performance were in the same level, in the sense that they both did things that I don't think the other could have achieved. Honestly, and Cate Blanchett is an outstanding actress, but I think Michelle Yeoh did things in Everything Everywhere All at Once that, one, Cate Blanchett didn't do in Tar, and two, Cate Blanchett probably could not have done. There was a level of physicality that was just so characteristic of martial arts and so characteristic of Michelle Yeoh's trajectory as an actress that probably nobody could have done it. So Michelle Yeoh had something unique. Cate Blanchett had something unique. This year, I can think of several other actresses who could have done what Lily Gladstone did. Lily Gladstone has a great performance, but in many ways, it's a performance that is very classical to me. I can see, for instance, Bette Davis, if she was alive and in her 20s, back in the day, Bette Davis could have done a performance just as well as Lily Gladstone. And I don't think anyone could have done Emma Stone's performance. The work Emma did in the film, the way she managed to create her character as well as create herself within the character, a character that was a character before and then became another character, a character that was literally raised. We watched her raise a character and raise herself in cinema in front of us. It was outstanding. Her work with the way she walked, her work with the way she spoke, the way everything transitioned, the way she became more conscient throughout the film, the way that her eyes changed. We were watching it, and I was watching with my mom, sure, but with my dad as well. And there was a scene when Mark Ruffalo, that scene in the ship when Mark Ruffalo started crying and she didn't know what blackmailing was. And my father was in shock at that scene because he said, "Did you look at her eyes? Did you see the way she saw at him? Like she had just discovered something new." And yes, it's much more intricate. It's the most intricate performance of the year. And I think it's my favorite, honestly. Overall, between men and women, my favorite performance of the year, it's Emma Stone in Poor Things. And I so want her to win, and I think she's going to. Not because I think it's a better performance. I'm not judging this based on subjectivity, even though I do think it's the best performance. That's not what I'm doing my prediction based on. I'm basing my prediction on the fact that Poor Things was a more liked film by the Academy than Killers of the Flower Moon. Same way Everything Everywhere All at Once was a more liked film than Tar by the Academy. That, in my opinion, is what granted Michelle the Oscar. This, in my opinion, is what's going to grant Emma the Oscar come Sunday night. But let's see. Next one, actress in a supporting role. The nominees are Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Nyad, and Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. I want this to go to Danielle Brooks. She's not gonna take it. I know she's not gonna take it. She's probably last place. No. I mean, America Ferrera has to be last place, right? She has to, right? The nomination was the win here. It definitely was the win here. I would love to see them calling out Danielle Brooks' name. She broke my heart. I think The Color Purple was the most underrepresented film here. It was one of the best films of the year, and it basically only got this big nomination that was for The Color Purple for Danielle Brooks in actress in a supporting role. She was my favorite performance of the film, and it's one hell of a film, alright? But Divine Joy Randolph's won everything. She has been the projected frontrunner of this category ever since last year. She won the Globe, she won the Critics, she won BAFTA, she won SAG last week. She's winning the Oscar. I don't see a world in which she doesn't win, but if this world did exist, in this world, I would like Danielle Brooks to win. I loved Divine Joy Randolph's performance in the film. I am more used to her as a comedic actress in her role, for instance, in Only Murders in the Building, for which she should have been nominated for an Emmy, by the way. She might be for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series this year. We'll keep an eye out for it. And it was nice to see her transition into a more dramatic role, even though the film is kind of comedy. I mean, there was moments in which I straight up laughed, and it was so good, so cathartic. But mostly I feel like her performance was much more in the dramatic way, and it was nice to see that versatility in her. But Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple still wins my heart, and it's who I would love to see win. It's not who's going to win, but it's who I would love to see win. Now, animated feature film, I did not watch any of these. I'm just glad Wish wasn't here, but I haven't watched any of this. Cinematography, don't feel like I have the background necessary, the critical and the theoretical background necessary to comment on this. Costume design, directing, Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet, Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese, Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos, and The Zone of Interest, Jonathan Glazer. This category is stacked. I would not have taken any of these nominees to include any other nominee. Psych, I would. I would actually include Greta Gerwig instead of Scorsese, for the sole reason that though Killers of the Flower Moon was very well directed, is it really that much different from other films Scorsese has done? I didn't like the film that much. I'm gonna discuss this when we head into Best Picture, but it didn't do much for me, and that's not on Scorsese's. Honestly, I don't think that's his fault, but I still think just for the scenes in Barbie Land alone, Greta should have been nominated. To have coordinated all these actors, to have coordinated this incredible film in the way she did, it's just, who else could have done it? It's daring, and it's new, and it's fresh. It's unlike anything Greta has ever done before. Is Killers of the Flower Moon, direction-wise, different from anything Scorsese has done before? Not really. I've seen some people complaining a lot about how people were mad that Greta wasn't here, but they were ignoring the fact Justine Triet was already here. And I think that's such a silly complaint to make. Why can't we have both women? Why can't we have two women in the category? Why is it that you think people, because that's a thought, I have not seen one person advocating for Gerwig's spot in this list over Trier. So why do you think we have to choose between Justine Triet and Greta Gerwig? Justine Trier's work in Anatomy of a Fall is outstanding. I don't want her out of this category. I would like Martin Scorsese to be out of this category and replace him with Greta Gerwig. That's my two piece about this whole controversy. Documentary, I didn't watch any documentary. Editing, don't feel comfortable with commenting. International feature film, I actually only watched The Zone of Interest. It's who I think is going to win, because, and I have this theory, and it actually worked every time this situation happened. If the film is good enough to be considered a nominee for Best Picture, then it's good enough to win International Feature Film. This has happened with Roma in 2019, don't remember the year exactly. This happened to Parasite. Sure, Parasite would go on to win the Oscar, but for Best Picture as well, but you get what I'm saying. And this also happened with Drive My Car in 2022. And this is gonna happen again this year, alright? I have not watched Yo Capitano and Perfect Days. They're both currently in theaters in Brazil. They only reached theaters this week or last week. Teacher's Lounge, I don't even know if it's coming to Brazil or not. And Society with Us No is in Netflix. And I've had some issues with my Netflix account and I couldn't watch it. I only watched The Zone of Interest. I'm gonna comment on this film when I get to Best Picture, but I mean, I think it's going to win because, again, if it was good enough to be considered a Best Picture nominee, then it's good enough to win the category. This has happened the 3 times that I remember, but probably more. Makeup and hairstyling, not my area. Original score, not my area, but original song, ha, that's my area. The Fire Inside, Diane Warren. At this point, it's just cruel. At this point, they are just being cruel to the woman. Like, why even give her another nomination if you're not gonna give the fucking award? And the song isn't even all that. It could have easily been replaced by Dance the Night. It would have made a much bigger impact. And it would have, increased the ratings to see Dua perform. But anyway, I'm Just Ken, Barbie, It Never Went Away, American Symphony, Wajaji, A Song for My People, Killers of the Flower Moon, and What Was I Made For, Barbie. I do think this is going to What Was I Made For. I don't think they're going to give it to I'm Just Ken. I don't think they're going to give it to I'm Just Ken. I know I'm Just Ken won the Critics' Choice, but I don't think they're going to do that. I was an early on apologist for I'm Just Ken. To this day, I still think it's a good song. I think it's a satirical song. It was incorporated in the film much better than What Was I Made For. It was actually performed in the film. What Was I Made For was background music of a scene. It's a good background song, but it was a background song for a scene. A very important scene, a key scene even in the film, sure, but it was not integrated with the story. It was integrated to the story, and that's a whole different conversation, alright? I'm Just Ken is integrated with the story. And so Dance the Night and When I Wake Up in My Own Pink, yes, by Lizzo. Nevertheless, I still think it's going to What Was I Made For. Billy and Phineas have already won an Oscar for No Time to Die. The song is good. It's not my favorite. I was a little mad it won Song of the Year at the Grammys last month, but it's okay. I can live with this win. It's not terrible. Worst songs have won Original Song at the Oscar, and I'm okay with it. I still think it's better than I'm Just Ken. If Dance the Night was here, that was who I wanted to win. It's not. So who I want to win, What Was I Made For? Who is going to win, What Was I Made For? Can anyone else win? Sure, I'm Just Ken. Mark Ronson has already won an Oscar as well for Shallow with Lady Gaga. Could this happen again? Yes, it could. Will it? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I think it's going to What Was I Made For? Best Picture. Ha! Nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. This is complicated. This is very complicated, alright? I'm gonna rank these and I'm gonna put it in the comments, because I don't have the time to go through all of these and give them the reasons why I'm gonna rank them, but I'm gonna do a ranking. My favorite out of these is Poor Things. It's the one I like the most. It's the one that did the most to me. With that being said, The Zone of Interest is this year's Best Picture. That ending, the way it was shot, the way it all moved, the way sound was incorporated in the film, the performances, the nuances, the fact you didn't know what was happening until the next scene revealed to you what was happening, the way you had to keep your eyes wide open and darting from one corner to the other of the screen because something was happening in the back, or something was happening at the bottom, or something was happening at the top left or the top right. I left the theater in shock. The film ended. I walked out of it. I got on the bus. I went home. And I still felt like I was sitting in the cinema. The film sucked me into it for at least 3 to 4 hours. And this kind of thing, I think it happens once in a lifetime. Steven Spielberg said it was the best film he watched ever since his own film, which is a little okay, come through, but since Schindler's List, and that's no joke, but I think it's true. The Zone of Interest might be the best film I ever watched, and it's grotesque and sublime at the same time, and I am in awe of it. That ending again, I have to bring up, but that ending, the layers that appeared in that scene, it's just, The Zone of Interest is this year's Best Picture. It's not going to win at all. It's going to Oppenheimer, and I can see why. It's flashy, It's big, it's American, it's in English, it's this film bro thing that managed to make nearly $1 billion in the box office. It's a way of acknowledging the motion picture industry and whatnot, you know. Sure, go with it. It's a well-crafted film, technically. But boy, the zone of interest. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. Production design, not qualified. Animated short, live action short, sound, visual effects, none of these I'm qualified. Adapted screenplay. The nominees are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. It's very hard to judge this category because I haven't had the access to the original material. I've never read or watched the things that inspired these films. So I can't judge them based on how good of an adaptation they are, which is what I imagine the voters do when they vote for Best Adapted Screenplay. So it's very hard. I would personally go with Barbie because I think the work Greta and Baumbach, mind you, the screenplay was written by both of them, had to create with this film is tricky. They took a doll or a concept created by Mato or plastic things, inanimate objects, and made a film out of it. It's much harder to do that than to take a book, read the book, and adapt what's in the book to the film. Personally, I think it's much harder because if you have a book, you already have a narrative, you already have a storyline, you have characters, you have lines of dialogue that you may utilize for your film as well. It's almost kind of like making a fan fiction of sorts. Barbie, on the other hand, you had a doll, you had several dolls, you had Pink, you had a corporation, and you had the plastic things that the dolls used. That's it. All inanimate objects. They don't tell a story by themselves. You take them and you tell your story based on what they are, not on what they tell you, because they don't tell you anything. A book tells 1,000 stories, a short tale, a film. These all tell stories. Dolls, per se, tell no stories. Yet Greta and Noah were able to tell the year's most profitable story and one of the most critically acclaimed stories from them somehow. So as a writer myself, not a screenwriter, but as a writer, that's incredibly difficult, and I think they should win this. Are they going to? Probably not. I don't think it's going to Oppenheimer either. I think Christopher Nolan is going to win his Oscar, but it's not for writing, it's for directing. I think the winner is going to be American Fiction. After they won the BAFTA and after I watched the film last night, solidified it for me. It's so nuanced, so layered, so profound, so well written. I mean, every line of dialogue opened a new world of interpretation behind it. It was great. It's one of the year's finest, to be fair. Then finally, original screenplay. Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives. This is going to Anatomy of a Fall. I think this has been sealed ever since Justine Triet won the Golden Globes, and after that she won the Globe, the Critics, she won the BAFTA as well. It's just going to be her, and I don't think the Academy is not gonna give Anatomy of a Fall anything, and it's not winning picture. It's definitely not winning actress in a leading role. It has no other nominations, and I mean it's not winning directing either, and it has no other nominations. So writing is what it is, and I'm okay with it. It's who I want to win out of the 5 nominees, and it's who is going to win. And it's one of the very few categories in which I'm 100% fine with the winners. So yeah, that was it for today, you guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked this video. Do let me know if you want more of these kind of videos, if you want me to cover other kinds of film or television or game awards, or if you want me to do like film reviews, I can do that. Series reviews, I can also do that. Game reviews, I can do that. But of course the main focus of this channel is music, and that's not changing anytime soon. So if you did not like this video, don't worry, there's music to come. There is music in the channel. There are going to be other essays coming up, so do not worry. I am not transitioning this into cinema, television, theater, game, whatever channel. It's still very much a music channel. But don't forget, it is also my channel, and I am much more than just music, even though music is my greatest passion. But that was it for today, you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got any other requests, please tell me. I'm more than thrilled to react to them, as I always am. I do hope to see you in my next video.